it's Melissa. Happy Tuesday. Today we are throwing it back to basics. We are going to do how to cut HTV. So if this is your first time, if you've tried out paper, you've tried out vinyl, you've been wanting to try out HTV, this is going to be a great place to start. We're going to talk about everything from how to load the Cameo 4 with your vinyl, your heat transfer vinyl, to how to pick a good design to cut for your first time. We'll make our shirt. Okay, so here's our shirt. So I'm going to put that to the side for right now. What I want you to do, the very first thing that you need to do when you are going to cut heat transfer vinyl for the first time is make sure, it's so important, that you are picking a design that is user friendly for beginners, beginner friendly. So what does that mean? So I'm going to show you the design that I am using here is this design. You can see it looks backwards because it is right now. But what I want you to notice, it is a big, bold design. There's nothing that's going to be real tough to cut, especially at the size that we are going to cut. So that's really important, to find a design that is big and bold, to make it so that it is easy, as easy as possible for you to cut. The other thing that I've done here, and this is going to come in most useful later, is I have drawn a box using the draw box tool around my design. It's black. The reason that I made it black is because I have a black shirt. The reason that I filled this with white is because I have a white, my heat transfer vinyl is going to be white. Okay, so I can see what my design is going to look like on my shirt. This is also going to be extremely helpful when I go to weed my design after it's cut, and you'll see what I mean after we cut it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I have my heat transfer vinyl. This is actually glitter HTV, so it's a little bit thicker, but you would cut it the same way that you would for standard smooth HTV. Okay, I'm actually going to cut without a mat. When you cut HTV or vinyl without a mat, it's possible to do so because the material has a liner. It has that clear liner on the back that's holding the material itself. So because the liner on HTV is actually on the front, you are going to cut your design from the back of the material. So this part is where we're cutting, but this is also what's going to be the adhesive side. So once it's cut, we're going to flip onto our shirt, which means we need to reverse the design in Silhouette Studio. The only thing that you have to do for that is to select your design in the studio, right click, and click flip horizontally, okay? So I picked this design for the reasons that I said before. It's big and bold, and I didn't have to do anything to it. This design is from So Fontie's August SVGM font bundle. I threw the link up top if you're interested in that, but you can find lots of different big, bold, beginner-friendly designs in that bundle and elsewhere as well. So I'm going to show you how to load this. Let's just pull over here a little bit. Now, on your machine, when you're not using a mat, or actually when you are using a mat, but I'm not using it because I just find, it's not necessary with HTV, okay? And I don't like fighting with this to try to get it without bubbles and bumps and everything. So I'm gonna press the load button. Let me go on the other side of this actually, so I'm not blocking the camera. So on your machine, you have these 3 buttons. You're gonna press the far left button, the up arrow. When you do that, my Cameo is plugged in here. When you do that, you're gonna get about 5 seconds, and that is going to allow you to load your material. Now, on the Cameo 4 set of machines, they all have this little square here, which is a sensor. It knows when your material is, or your mat is lined up here, and it's going to allow you to hold this with 2 hands so that you can load it evenly. You want to make sure that your material is wide enough, not wide enough, but you want to make sure that your material is going to load under both roller bars, okay? So if not, you need to flip this roller bar knob down and then move the roller bar in. This right roller bar will move, okay? To make sure that it's securely holding your design, all right? Okay, so let's press this button. You see it's flashing. Now I'm gonna hold it so that the left side of my material is lined up with the gray line, and then it takes 3 to 5 seconds or so, and it's gonna automatically pull it in. Now I'm ready to send my design to cut. So I'm using this purple 1mm blade. That blade is a manually adjustable blade. I like it because I have a little bit more control than I do when I'm using the auto blade. The auto blade, if you guys have used it, you know sometimes it can just be a little wonky, finicky, and this gives me more control. So I've already set it to a blade depth of 3, which is what my software is recommending that I do when I pick HTV glitter. So I just turn it to a blade depth of 3, and now I'm ready to cut. So I'm gonna send this to cut. And once it's cut, then we will weed that design out, and we will be able to apply the HTV directly to the shirt. So while this is cutting, let's get the shirt ready. So these are just, I buy shirts obviously all the time for tutorials. This is just a black sweatshirt, okay? And it's cotton, I don't know, is it cotton? It's cotton. I'm sure it's cotton. So we need to make sure that we can find the center of this shirt so that we can make sure that our design is also centered. Now this shirt has a little like V in the middle, in the front, so I know kind of exactly where the middle is. But the other thing that you can do, if you're not sure and you want to be positive to find the middle of your shirt without measuring, you can fold your shirt in half, make sure that it's, you know, lined up, and then do a quick press on your heat press. So I'm gonna move this out of the way so you can see me back here on the heat press at the same time. Okay, let's see. So, just gonna quickly press this, and it's going to create a seam right down the middle, not a seam, it's gonna create a line right down the middle. Okay, so now I have the center of my shirt, and once the HTV is cut, I'll know where to place it. Now, how do I know where the middle of that is? I'm going to show you that in a second. Once this is cut, we'll show you. So we'll have 2 lines, 2 folded lines, and we'll line them both up, and that's how we will know. All right. Now, heat press. This heat press is being warmed up to 320. 10 to 15 seconds for this is all you need. You could do this with an iron. If you are going to apply HTV with an iron, you need to make sure that you're applying downward pressure like this, okay? Do not iron like you would a shirt when you're trying to get wrinkles out. You need downward, consistent pressure in order to successfully apply HTV and have it stick, okay? All right, so, but I'm gonna use my heat press for that. Now, is this cutting okay? All right, just keep watching it cut. Now, this design, as you can see, has a bit of an outline. An offset was used to create this design. So it can be a little like mind-boggling or confusing to figure out which part do I actually weed out. And you do not want to weed the wrong part out, or else you're going to have to like either start over or recut or whatever. So I'm going to show you the trick to how to know what to weed out. Now, before we take this off the machine, I'm also going to do a little test weeding. So I know that this letter here, it's a Y. Usually you can find like some part of your design that will need to be weeded out. I'm gonna keep this all in here because if this doesn't weed out, then I can send it to cut again. If I take this out and this didn't weed out easily and I needed to resend this, but I already had taken my material out, I'm never gonna be able to line this up exactly where I have it now to recut. Okay, so it cut successfully, weeded easily, so we are ready to move forward with weeding our design. Now let me just bring you down here. Okay, now you see how I have my black, let's go back to the design area. On my computer, I have my black background. That is representing my shirt, as we talked about. So I want to make sure that from my cut area, I only weed out the areas that are black because that's going to be my shirt. So I want to make sure that I don't weed anything that's not black. So to start, I'm just going to trim this piece of vinyl down so I'm not wasting a whole bunch. Okay, I can reuse this later. And people yell at me when I waste too much, which I don't like when people yell at me. Okay, so here we go. The easiest thing to do is to start with the outside edge because you know that's gonna help you. Can you see what I'm doing? We know here, this is going to be the shirt. And what this is gonna do by starting to weed the outside is I'm gonna get a visual, the main part of my design, okay? So I'm just weeding this away, all right? Okay. All right, now I have this design. Now what you can see, hopefully, is there's a series of lines here because of the way this design is. So do I weed this outside part? Where do I weed? This is where I'm looking in here. Now I can see that there's a little part inside that dips down into the U that needs to be weeded out. So I'm gonna start there. And that is going to pull out an entire part of this design, making it much easier to see. What else? But do you see how I'm able to tell what I should weed this? Because it's just like my monitor, okay? So for beginners, this is a really easy trick to helping you visually see what you're weeding. So I get questions all the time. Why would I use the fill color tools in Silhouette Studio if I'm not doing, like, if I'm just cutting vinyl or HTV, I'm not actually, like, coloring anything. I'm not making colored stickers or printable anything. Well, the reason that you're doing it is so that you can see, because otherwise, if you don't, this is what you have. And that makes it very difficult to tell what you should be weeding and what you shouldn't, okay? So when you are able to use, okay, so just this little trick, just take your time, and if you did a good cut, had a good cut lines and everything, it should be pretty easy to weed your design, okay? So and what I like to do to make sure that I didn't miss anything, typically I flip it over, and that's where it makes it a lot easier. Oh, I can see I missed, you know, weeding the face of this ghost, okay? So then I have my whole design weeded. Now I need to apply it to my shirt. Let me go back over here so you can see it again. All right, so we're done. Oops, now my head is cut off. Okay, we're done with our Cameo, and we're done with the computer. So I'm gonna get those out of the way so you guys can see. Okay, so back to, oh my gosh, you're still not seeing me. There we go. All right, so back to the shirt, okay? The shirt has that line down the middle, okay? Telling me exactly where the middle is. You're gonna take your design, you're gonna fold it so that the non-sticky sides, don't fold your sticky sides together, fold your non-sticky sides together, line up the edges, and you're gonna gently create a seam down the middle of this one. Okay, not a seam, a fold. Okay, so now you have a fold on this design and a fold on here. They both are the center, and so this way you will be able to line up those two center folds, okay? Line them up, and then you can press. Now, do you see here how my shirt is all ready? General rule of thumb, you want the top of the design on an adult shirt to be about 3 inches down. Now I'm gonna tell you, I'm going to cut the collar of this sweatshirt off, similar to how my shirt is here. So I'm doing it a little bit more than 3 inches, but 3 inches is a general rule of thumb, okay? All right, so now we're ready. We're gonna go over here to the heat press, which is warmed up and ready to go. I'm gonna check the pressure on this, okay? We want it to be able to go all the way down. Let's just see if I can move you a little bit closer so you can have a better idea of what's going on. And as soon as we are done this, we will be just about finished. Olivia, would you like to grab me that Teflon sheet that's right over there, please? Yeah. Okay. No, the little sheet.
The thin one?
Yeah, the thin one. Yep.
I forgot a paper.
Thank you.
Print it.
Cover it up, and we're gonna press this down. Again, if you're doing this with an iron, you wanna make sure that you hold firm pressure, firm downward pressure, okay? So that you are not ironing around like you would, because that's not gonna give you enough pressure in all of the spots, okay? Time's gonna be done here. Carefully remove your shirt. Okay. Try to get it so you guys can see again. I really need a cameraman here. Okay, and then you gotta peel this transfer sheet off, okay? So it's easiest if you go from a corner, okay? And there you go. All right, so again, pick an easy design. Big, bold, single color design. Can you put multiple colors of a design onto one shirt? Absolutely. But when you are a beginner, I want you to take all of the fancy stuff out of the equation. You want to get fancy? Use glitter HTV, okay? It's hard to see on here, but that's what we used. I'll take a pic. Oh, there. There you go. Okay? All right. So once you learn, I am a firm believer that once you learn the techniques, the basic techniques, then you grow off of there. You have no idea how many emails, comments, questions I get that are like, hey, I just ordered my machine. I already have an order for, 10 shirts. They include 4 different colors of HTV. They want front, back. And by the way, this design, and it's like a sketch. Like you can't, like, oh no, please learn the very basics before. So that will eliminate a lot of frustrations. It will eliminate a lot of the, like, I don't want to say static, but like the extras that you can add in later that you're going to build onto your tool belt later, if you will, okay? All right, you guys, if you're interested in this design, you can grab it individually or from the August bundle. I threw the link up top. If you're interested in the HTV, I'll put a link for that up top as well. And